Starting in Genshin version 4.7, the Abyss and the so-called Genshin Endgame will get some massive changes, like this current Abyss's rewards and reset system will change completely. Earlier, gaining 36 star in the Abyss used to give you 600 Primo Gems, which is a pretty good amount, but now that amount has been increased to 800 Primo Gems. But the catch is that now the Abyss will only reset once every month on 1st, which basically means once per patch, instead of twice. This means the Primo Gems we can get per month from the current Abyss will be dropped down to 800 compared to the 1,200 every month earlier. Now, along with this, the good news is that now there is going to be one more source of obtaining Primo Gems rather than just this Abyss, which is going to be, take a guess. Yes, another Abyss. This new Abyss is more like a fighting event than Abyss really, and it'll be a permanent game mode starting from Genshin version 4.7. It's going to be called the Imaginarium Theater, which is going to be located in Mondstadt, and apparently it's right behind this door in Lisa's library. Anyhow, to start the challenge, when you go inside the room you can use something called the Tome of Reveries to start this Abyss. As for the stages, it'll have a total of 3 floors. The first 2 floors each hold 3 stages, while the last floor wraps it up with 2 stages, and the stage 3, 6, and 8 are going to be boss stages every time, and the other stages will be ordinary stages with normal enemies. In the first stage, the level of the enemies will be 90, and as you complete the stages, gradually the level of the enemies will increase to 95 in the final stages. In every phase equals entire duration, lasting around 31 to 30 days, essentially once a month. The theater will provide you with 6 chosen characters of 3 different elements, meaning 2 characters per element, and you can think of them as the mascots of that phase. These 6 chosen characters will gain a 20% increase in max HP, attack, and defense bonuses in the theater. So you have to use these characters, and if in case you somehow don't have them, you can just use their trial versions. Talking about the builds of these characters in the trial versions, they are not that great, but they aren't outright garbage either. Just like the ones we are given in normal fighting events, they just work, to be honest, because they are going to be equipped with their best in slot artifacts with decent stats along with a 4-star weapon suiting them. Also, along with those 6 characters, you have to take 12 additional characters, 10 of which has to be your own characters, and they have to be within the same 3 element as the mascots of the phase, as you cannot take characters who aren't of the same element as the mascots of the phase. Personally, this limitation kinda sucks, as people who don't have lots of character across all the 7 elements are probably gonna suffer, including myself. As for the rest too, you can get one from your friends. Yes, you heard that right. Now you can finally exchange characters. You can take at max 1 character from a friend. And it can be anyone you want. This is also one of the reasons why in the next version the number of friends will be increased from the current cap of 60 to 100. Like we had any to begin with. And if you want to provide your friends with your characters, you can do that too. And everyone can provide up to 7 characters to their friends, which is 1 character per friend. And talking about how to obtain the last character, you can get them from special invitation. There are going to be 4 fixed characters in each phase, and you can only invite one of the selected 4 characters in each phase. The benefit of doing this is that those 4 selected characters won't be limited by elements. Suppose the current phase only allows Hydro, Anemo, and Pyro characters. Then the special invitation characters can be anyone with visions other than Hydro, Anemo, and Pyro. But Genshin being Genshin, Hoyo decided to add another catch. That being, you can only invite these characters if you have them in your account, as there is no trial versions for these characters. So if suppose you don't have the said character, for example Alhaitham, and he's there in the invitation slot, you won't be able to use him. So most probably you have to take someone else from your account who has the same element as specified by the phase. Before going to the lineup and team formation, you have to know how they work. While using characters in this Abyss, you can't use a single character throughout the Abyss, as every single character will have 2 energy, which means they can be used only 2 times, which could either mean once per floor or once per stage. Now, as for the lineup or character selection, according to the information we have right now, it's probably similar to current Abyss, and you can freely form teams with whoever you want. But there were also information stating that, instead of being able to select anyone you want freely, you'll start the event with the 6 selected characters of the phase themselves, and as their energy runs out, they will eventually be swapped out randomly with any of the other selected characters you have. Before going into stages for battle, you can equip something which is known as Event, and it's just above. How it works is, you can take an event from a list of randomly generated events, and then that event can either be one of 4 things. Either a companion buff, which will allow you to restore some energy to your characters who have ran out of energy, or team buffs, which will provide buffs to your team during combat, or be a surprise, and these will basically increase your luck, reward you with more points, and allow you to select more events. And finally prizes, these will just give you more Fantasia flowers, which is probably used to buy these events. So how buying these events work is, when you choose events you'll consume your points, and completing battles will reward you with points. You can choose different difficulties for the battles and will be rewarded with different amounts of points. Completing extra challenges in battle will reward extra points. For example, like completing a challenge like deal electro damage 40 times in a battle will reward you with more points than just normally completing a stage. As for the time limit, there isn't really a strict time limit to complete the domain, but just like the Abyss, it has stars which you can gain by completing the stage under certain time limits, and the more stars you have, the better the rewards will be. Some battles require you to defeat all enemies, others require you to defend a domain monolith, just like the current Abyss, and every stage will have some random stage effects such as a period of time after the challenge begins, thunder will descend and strike your characters. A period of time after the challenge begins, all party members will continuously lose small amounts of HP. Clearing Imaginarium Theater for the first time rewards 1100 Primo Gems, and then afterwards 620 Primo Gems will be awarded for clearing it fully every time. After completing Stage 3, you will gain something called the Thespian Tricks, and you can exchange them for certain characters. What it does is, it'll unlock some special poses of certain characters that can be used while taking photographs. These definitely gives the character more life. And the 4.7 Thespian Tricks characters will be Chongyun, Ayato, Jean, Xiangling, Noelle, and Raiden Shogun. And the details about the Imaginarium Theater in 4.7 is going to be as the following. The opening characters are going to be Arlecchino, Thoma, Clorinde, Kuki Shinobu, Wanderer, and Faruzan. As for the special invitation characters, they are Baizhu, Sijun, Alhaitham, and Wriothesley. Now looking at how this new Abyss will affect the total amount of Primo Gems we get per patch. And let me tell you, the changes are going to be massive for free-to-play players, so we will get a whopping 220 more Primo Gems per patch now. But hey, now there's more content. You can exchange characters with friends, have more enemies to fight, unlock special character poses, all of these along with more Primo Gems as well. So it's a pretty nice change than the usual. I'd give it a 9 out of 10, only if they gave a bit more Primo Gems. Somewhere around 500 or even 400 would sound really good and could fix lots of problems.